Book 2, Chapter 7. Dimitri groaned as he felt Rosalie get up out of the bed. He opened his eyes to see it was still dark out. The sound of their son crying reached his ears. He immediately got up and wrapped his arms around her waist. "What do you think you're doing?" he whispered. She chuckled. "Getting out, son, silly. He's crying and I told you I would take care of him when he's crying." She frowned and looked at him. Even in the dark, she could tell he was tired. More tired than her. "You've already been up 3 times tonight, though," she argued. He raised an eyebrow. "I thought you wanted me to start helping?" "Yes, but that doesn't mean deprive yourself of sleep." She mumbled into his chest as he hugged her. "For the past few nights you've been doing it by yourself. It's my turn. Now, go back to sleep," he whispered, kissing her on the head. Rosalie sighed in defeat and crawled back into bed. Dimitri made sure she was sleeping before he left. He walked into Elijah's room and smiled. "Shh!" he cooed as he picked his son up. The baby cried for a little while longer until he looked up at his father. Dimitri placed a gentle kiss on his forehead. "Not used to seeing me get you, huh?" He chuckled. The baby made a sound. Dimitri only continued to smile. He tilted his head. "No fair. You have your mother's nose. Traitor," he pouted. Rosalie chuckled as she walked in. "Yes, but he has your name and all your other features. Well, his skin color is like mine." Dimitri chuckled. "I thought I told you to sleep?" "Well, watching the adorable scene of a father and son is better." She smiled. She sighed and kissed him on the lips. "You know I love you, right?" He nodded. "Of course, and I love you too." Once the baby was sleeping again, they crawled into their bed and cuddled against each other. Rosalie smiled as Dimitri wrapped his arms around her and pulled her close. Rosalie got up at 6 and sneaked out of the room when her son started crying. She sat down in the rocking chair and nursed him, whispering nothing but love at him. The next day, Rosalie woke up to an empty bed. She sighed as she got up and did her normal morning routine. She frowned when Dimitri walked in looking extremely tired. "You should take a nap." "What time is it anyway?" she asked. He yawned. 1 in the afternoon. You slept for a while." "Oh, where's Elijah?" "My mom and Catherine have him. I'm pretty sure he's hungry, though." "I would assume so." Rosalie walked downstairs to see her son crying as Harper searched the fridge. "Dimitri, is she still breastfeeding him?" Rosalie chuckled. "I am." Harper stood up and smiled. She walked over and handed him to her. "So heard you and my son got into a small fight?" she questioned. Rosalie sighed as she sat down and began feeding her son. "Yeah, it was over something completely stupid." "Well, that's Demetrius for you. Always starting arguments over the smallest of things. Christine knew that and would constantly try to piss him off." "I hate that mutt." Harper growled. "We all do. Dimitri was the one who killed her." "Good. He's in love with you, more so than he was with Christine. I'm glad he finally found you," she stated with a smile. Rosalie smiled back. "I was lucky to find him." "Oh, some guy by the name of Cyrus called, rambling about finding a boyfriend." Rosalie gaped at her. "He's gay?" I guess so. I don't really know him so. I'm honestly not surprised, I could tell." Rosalie looked up to see Damon walking in. A grumpy Rachel followed after him. "Why are you angry?" Rosalie asked. Rachel glared at Damon. "This idiot thought he didn't need a condom. Now I'm pregnant." "Hey, I thought you were on birth control," Damon retorted. Rachel scowled at him. "Correction, I was on birth control." "So, you don't want to be pregnant?" Rosalie asked. "No, it's not that. I'm just not ready. What if I screw up?" she whispered. Harper immediately hugged the girl. "You have us here to help you. Besides, she had a baby with my other dumbass of a son. Surely, you'll do good with raising a child with dumbass number 2. Damon scowled at him mother before looking at Rosalie. "So Cyrus is gay now?" "Whoa, what? When did this happen?" Rachel asked. Rosalie shrugged. "Apparently while traveling. He's either gay or bi." "Well, I'm not surprised. He did have a little bit of a wondering eye for men, come to think of it," Rosalie said thoughtfully. Rachel shrugged. "His boyfriend better be nice or I'm ripping his balls off. Hopefully he's smart too. Dealing with numbnuts over here and alpha idiot is enough torture." "Don't forget the king of nitwits," Harper chuckled. "Who?" "Xavier." "I heard that!" a voice called from the family room. "You were supposed to," Harper yelled back. "So, when is Cyrus returning with his boyfriend? I want to meet him," Catherine sounded. Whoa, Cyrus is gay? Dimitri asked as he ran down the stairs. Rosalie watched as he almost fell on his face. Oh yeah, definitely dumbass number one. Dimitri stuck his tongue out at her before folding his arms across his chest. So who fell for Cyrus now? He asked. Well, you'll find out this evening. They'll be here by 7, Harper said as she walked out. Rosalie sighed. Looks like we're meeting Cyrus' boyfriend now. If his boyfriend is some huge scary-ass man, I'm running away. Damon stated. He could be a thin human guy and you'd still run. Rachel smirked. Would not. Damon, you screamed over a dust bunny and sprinted out of the room. Fuck you. He grumbled. Can't. I'm pregnant now. This again? Yes, I told you to put a damn condom on. Don't you know how sex works? Yes, I know how it works. Well, clearly you only know about the dick going into the vagina part. I'll dumb it down. Sperm meets egg. Egg turns into baby. Well, should have taken a morning after pill. He grumbled. Rachel rolled her eyes. I would have if you hadn't bought Viagra by accident. Stop the shouting or I'll make sure he doesn't have any balls, Rosalie barked. Both grumbled something before leaving the kitchen. Rosalie sighed as they continued arguing all the way to the room. Cyrus and his boyfriend better now argue like that or I'm gonna cut a bitch, Rosalie grumbled. Dimitri laughed at her. Book 2. Chapter 8. Rosalie sighed as she walked downstairs. Everyone was actually excited to meet Cyrus's new boyfriend. He had called back an hour ago. When Rosalie answered, she couldn't hold her excitement back. The whole pack was excited to see him again. The 2 weeks that he stayed with them, he had helped immensely. And seeing how tired Dimitri was, Rosalie knew they were going to need the extra help. Cyrus had told her all about his new boyfriend, except his name. He is a werewolf. He's a lone wolf, but he does have alpha blood in him. He had laughed when Rosalie told him about Damon saying he would run from him if he's a scary-looking man. He's, tall and muscular like any other wolf with alpha blood, but he isn't scary, he had told her. Now, it was almost 7, and they were hanging out in the family room. It wasn't the whole pack, but it was Harper, Maddox, Dimitri, her, Damon, Rachel, Xavier, Xander, Felicity, Sage, Sarah, the baby, and Diamond. Dimitri wrapped his arm around her and kissed her on the temple, telling her how much he loves her. She smiled and leaned into his embrace, enjoying the warmth. We're back, Cyrus cheered as he burst through the front door. Rosalie shrieked and pulled him into a hug. A man with dark hair and brown eyes laughed from behind them. Dimitri shook his head at his mate. Rosalie finally let go and glanced at the other man. She narrowed her eyes and walked up to him. He had a slightly fearful look as she inspected him. Well, welcome, she beamed, hugging him. Cyrus laughed. You'll get used to it. She's strange. Hey, I am not strange, Rosalie argued. Dimitri and Cyrus glanced at each other before looking at her. She sighed in defeat. Okay, I'm a little strange. Anyways, Rosalie, this is my boyfriend, Alec. Alec, this is my original mate, Rosalie, Cyrus introduced, his voice shaking a bit. Alec smiled at her. It's nice to meet you, Rose. Is it all right if I call you that? Of course, she grinned. Xavier smirked. She likes being called Rosie better. Rosalie growled and slapped him on the back of the head. Do you want my foot up your ass? She threatened. Xavier paled before taking a step back. Never mind. Alec laughed. How the hell did you leave her? Cyrus scratched the back of his neck. We actually agreed on breaking up. She was in love with him, and I don't know. I just lost interest in girls. Well, I did still have feelings for her, he admitted, but now they're replaced with his feelings for you, so now getting all jealous. Rosalie teased. Oh, don't worry, I trust him. Ah, you must be. Alpha Black? Alec asked. Dimitri nodded. You can just call me Dimitri. I've heard all those scary stories of you. I'm not as cruel anymore. Rosalie scoffed. He's lying. What? I am not. Let me remind you about how you completely lost it on a rogue and tortured him. Okay, never mind, Dimitri mumbled. He won't kill you. Rosalie smirked. Alec chuckled before introducing himself to everyone else. Once he reached Harper, she pulled him into a hug. Welcome. You look like a large, muscular, and cuddly teddy bear. Alec glanced at everyone else, his eyes begging for help as Harper strangled him with her hugs. Maddox laughed and pulled her off. He then pulled her against his chest and kissed her on the lips. Dimitri and his brothers all fake gagged and told them to get a room. Maddox only smirked at them and made sure to make out with her for a whole minute. After Alec and Cyrus were settled in their room, they joined everyone for lunch. Cyrus explained to them that he had met Alec in Paris after accidentally running him over with a car. Alec laughed nervously, telling them he almost killed Cyrus after that. Ah, the beginning of every romantic story. Harper sighed dramatically. Sage scrunched up her nose. If my mate hit me with a car, I'd throw him into a lake and repeatedly drown him. Everyone just stared at her in shock, the room becoming silent. Sage looked at them with confusion. What? Since when did you get such a murderous mind? Catherine asked. Sarah rolled her eyes. This girl has always been like this. She thought killing someone because they're annoying is a perfect excuse for committing a murder. I can see it now, and our next serial killer is Sage Black! Damon announced. Sage scowled at her uncle. I'm going to stab you in the eyes with this fork. Whoa, calm down there, killer. Damon, if you make one more pun, I swear to. Well, she's the one killing the mood, Damon shrieked, cutting Dimitri off. I'm going to kill you one of these days, Dimitri grumbled. Well, now we know where Sage gets it from, Xavier sighed. They all started to eat peacefully, sometimes having a nice conversation. Sage finished her lunch first and sighed. She then smirked. Without any warning, she let out the biggest burp, scaring everyone. Dimitri scowled at her, but she only shrugged. I dare you guys to try and do better, she grinned. Dimitri raised an eyebrow. It only took him a second to burp even louder. Alex smiled at them both and let out the largest burp, larger than theirs. Sage pouted while Dimitri high-fived him. Rosalie smiled at the scene. She then grabbed Dimitri by his ear. No burping at the table, she growled. He pouted at her. You're no fun. You weren't saying that in the bed the other night, she sighed with a smirk. Oh, come on. It's bad enough I heard you two going at it that one night, Sarah whined. Sage laughed. Look at you, getting it on like Donkey Kong. Dimitri's eyes widened. You are getting your mouth duct taped. Sage folded her arms across her chest. Not if I rip it off. Fine, then you'll simply lose your eyebrows. You wouldn't. Try me. Sage stuck her tongue out at her father before focusing on annoying her sister. Rosalie laughed at them. She then smiled at everyone. She sighed. Everything finally seemed to be working out. Book 2, Chapter 9. Rosalie jumped a little. As Dimitri slammed his office door open, she watched as he stormed out of the room. He sat beside her on the couch and hid his face in his hands. Dimitri? Rosalie asked. She started to rub soothing circles on his back as he let out a frustrated breath. Alpha Eli is coming over. He wants to talk about a deal in person now, he whispered. Rosalie frowned. Surely it can't be that bad, right? Well, it wouldn't be horrible if he didn't want you. Rosalie froze, her eyes widened a bit. Let me guess, every deal he's suggested includes me? Yup. Well, that's just too bad for him, she stated. I already love someone else. Dimitri smiled at her before wrapping his arms around her. He pressed her against his chest and kissed her on the neck. Where's Elijah? He asked. Napping, he should be up soon. I was thinking we could go on a walk when he wakes up. I would love that, he mumbled. Rosalie laid her head on his shoulder before kissing him on the neck. I love you, Dimitri whispered. Rosalie grinned. I love you too. So when is that Alpha coming? She asked. He sighed and sat up. This afternoon around 3. Please don't tell me he's staying overnight. He's not. He's staying until we can agree on a deal. You know that won't happen if it includes me giving you to him. I could always run him over and say it's an accident. And what about his mate? She questioned. She was a hunter. She tricked him and tried killing him. He killed her. He explained. Talk about relationship issues, she mumbled. Dimitri laughed before kissing her again. Rosalie moaned when he kissed and sucked on her mark. Her grip on his shirt tightened. She could feel a throbbing in her core as he continued. Demetrius, she moaned. He growled against her. He pressed his hardness against her. She gasped when she felt it through his jeans. He definitely wasn't trying to hide his excitement. When should Elijah wake up? He asked. She swallowed. Whenever. He picked her up, causing her to wrap her legs around his waist. Everyone is out for the day, she moaned. He grinned. Good. Short sex scene, motherfuckers. Dimitri continued to hold her with one arm as he ripped her underwear off with the other. I like it when you wear a dress, he growled. If this happens every time I wear one, I'll wear them more often. They both stared at each other, with love as they calmed down. Dimitri kissed her on the lips once more, before pulling out and carefully putting her down. End of sex scene. Dimitri chuckled as Rosalie struggled to walk on shaky legs. She sat down and sighed. Her eyes found his amused ones. "I'm assuming I did my job right," he chuckled. She nodded while trying to catch her breath. "Oh yeah, you definitely did your job right. Holy shit." "Well, you did yours amazingly, baby girl." She smiled softly at him. Dimitri grabbed a wine glass and searched through his alcohol cabinet. "What kind of drink?" he asked, looking at her. She leaned back. "A shot of vodka would be nice." He raised an eyebrow. "You can handle that?" "Yeah, used to steal my dad's. Sometimes I stole his whiskey, too." "My kind of girl," he chuckled, taking a bottle of vodka out. Rosalie smirked. "I better be. I am your mate after all." All mine." He grinned. She swallowed the vodka before leaning forward. She watched him drink his whiskey. They just stared at each other, but that's all they had to do. Through just their eyes, they could see the love. Rosalie's cheeks were red when Dimitri suddenly pulled her on his lap. "Hey guys, why is there a ripped thong in the family room?" Xavier asked. Rosalie and Dimitri burst out laughing. Book 2, Chapter 10. Dimitri was tense as Eli walked in, sporting a large grin. When his brown eyes landed on Rosalie, they immediately darkened with lust, causing the Luna to cringe. Dimitri pulled Rosalie against him and growled lowly. "Mine," he snapped. Eli raised an eyebrow. "Not for long, Alpha Black. Unlike other alphas, I'm not afraid of you." Rosalie rolled her eyes at his cockiness. "Then why don't I make a few things clear?" "Go for it, sweet stuff." 1. If you want to impress a woman, don't flirt like a 12-year-old boy. 2. I'm Dimitri's mate and Luna, so be a man whore somewhere else. 3. You will make a deal with me there, and it will not include me. 4. I demand respect for both Dimitri and I, and the pack. Do I make myself clear?" She snarled. Eli paled and gulped. "Yes, ma'am." "Good. Xander, can you show him to his room?" she questioned. Xander nodded and motioned for Eli to follow him. As he walked past, Rosalie made sure she was on the other side of Dimitri. Once he was gone, they both sighed in relief. Dimitri smirked at her. "You're hot when you're demanding," he growled against her neck. Rosalie chuckled. "You are one horny alpha." "Well, I haven't fucked a single woman in years before I met you, and now that I have one hell of a sexy mate, I can't control myself." "Oh, must have been so hard," she teased. Dimitri smirked and grabbed her hand. She blushed when he placed it right on his very hard member. "Oh, trust me, darling. It is," he growled in her ear. He playfully snapped at her neck, causing a fire within her core. She growled lowly and grazed her canines against his mark. She smiled to herself as he moaned against her. "I can help with that," she whispered seductively. After they were done, Dimitri went to patrol the pack with his brothers, reluctantly. Rosalie sighed as she carried her son and cleaned up. "This all alone?" She spun around to see a smirking Eli leaning against a shelf. He had a lustful glint in his dark eyes. Rosalie swallowed before shrugging. "The other women are here, I'm just cleaning," she replied. He nodded. He pushed himself off the shelf and strode over to her. She froze as he placed his hands on her hips and pressed himself against her. "Your son looks awfully a lot like his father," he said, a little disgust in his voice. Rosalie clenched her jaw. "Yes, I know. I'm glad. Why am I finding it so hard to believe you willingly mated with Dimitri? Because you have a ridiculous crush on me and want an excuse as to why I should leave him and mate with your pathetic and thirsty ass?" She responded with a smirk. She tore herself away from him and walked to the other side of the room. She narrowed her eyes at him as he glared at her. "I'm not pathetic, and Dimitri is known for his ways of torture." He grinned, sitting on the couch. Rosalie frowned. "His ways of torture?" He nodded. "He's an alpha male. He can't possibly go years without sex or just using his hand. He's going to want some, so he would rape the female rogues. Quite disgusting, if you ask me. Do you want to know what else he did?" Rosalie tilted her head. She knew Dimitri would never rape a woman, but she did know he used to torture rogues. She never really wanted to know what he would do. She was highly against torturing innocent rogues. "What?" she asked. "He would whip them, beat the shit out of them, burn them alive, and so on. He has torture chambers. He has a torture room, in his basement, too. He didn't care if they were innocent or not, if they were a child or an adult. He loved causing them pain because that's the only way he could handle his own pain. He stated, his voice serious. Rosalie gulped. She refused to believe Dimitri did all those things, especially to children. Eli chuckled at her confused face. He got up and sighed. "Good night, Rose." She watched as he disappeared up the stairs. She was still frozen in place as she heard his door shut. She walked over to the couch and sat down. Dimitri wouldn't torture innocents and children, not her Dimitri. She remembered that room in the basement, though. Sage had told her it was an old torture room, too. She bit her lip before searching for Catherine. She knocked on the she wolf's door and waited. Catherine swung it open and smiled. "Hey, what's up?" she asked. "Can you watch him for a bit? I just have to see something," she asked. Catherine nodded and took Elijah. Rosalie thanked her before leaving. She took a deep breath as she walked into the basement. She walked over to the door and sighed. She slowly opened the door and was immediately hit with the scent of old blood. She gagged for a bit before switching on the light. Her eyes widened at the sight. Old blood was all over the floor and walls. There were silver chains attached to one wall. Weapons were scattered across the ground as well. She took a step in and clapped her hand over her mouth. Claw marks decorated the walls, making indents in the metal. She shook her head. She couldn't believe it. "Rosalie!" She froze as Dimitri's voice echoed throughout the house, but she didn't move. She couldn't. She hated how she was afraid of seeing her mate, but she now knew who he really was. She shook her head. She should have known. She heard him walk down the basement stairs before stopping in the doorway. She slowly turned around to see his horrified face. "Rosalie, did you torture innocents and children?" she blurted out. Dimitri swallowed. "Rosalie, please, tell me, Demetrius," she snapped. He sighed in defeat. "Yes. They were children," she yelled. He winced a bit. I know, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." "Didn't mean to," she scoffed. "Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. This is disgusting. You were a monster," she whispered to herself. She then let out a bemused laugh. "Shouldn't be shocked. You are Alpha Black after all." Dimitri stiffened. Pain made itself known in his chest. Rosalie sighed and looked up. She was stunned when she saw the amount of pain in his face. He slowly looked down and played with his hands. I'm sorry." His voice cracked as a knot formed in his throat. Rosalie just stared her mind blank of what to say. I didn't mean to." She watched as he started to cave in on himself. She was horrified when a few tears dropped onto the ground. He shook his head. "I didn't mean to," he whispered again. She sighed and took a step forward. "Dimitri?" He took a step back, still looking at the ground. I stopped. I sent them to the doctor. I haven't tortured anyone in a long time." He was now breathing fast, trying his hardest not to break down. Rosalie frowned at him. She released a breath and looked around. This room wasn't it was to torture me, too. She froze as she registered his words. She snapped her attention to him. Before she could say anything, he ran out and back up the stairs. She stood there in complete shock, trying to process what had just happened. She took off, running up the stairs, trying to catch up to him. However, she ended up running straight into Felicity, almost knocking them both down. "Whoa, slow down there. What's wrong?" Felicity asked. Rosalie ran her hand through her hair. I found out about Dimitri torturing innocents and rogues, and I said something I shouldn't have." "What did you say?" "I called him a monster and said I shouldn't be surprised since he's Alpha Black." She furrowed her eyebrows. "What did he mean by saying that room was to torture him too?" Felicity sighed. He used to lose control of his wolf. He'd spend all night down there, screaming, clawing at the walls. He would shift and slam himself against the walls. He would try to claw the pain out of him. He was that desperate to escape it. We'd find him huddled in a corner, naked and covered in blood," she explained. He went through some bad times." Rosalie pinched the bridge of her nose. "I have to go find him." She took off running. She followed in his scent outside. She shifted and sprinted through the forest, searching for him. She skidded to a halt when she found him sitting on the ground under the tree in the meadow. She could hear his sobs as he covered his face. His whole body was shaking. She shifted back and quietly walked up to him. She knelt beside him and gently cupped his cheek. She made him look at her and gave him a small smile. He yanked himself away from her and hugged his knees to his chest. "Go away, please," he whispered. Rosalie shook her head. "No? Why? I'm a monster. You shouldn't be near me." "Dimitri, what I said was wrong. You're far from a monster. I was being an idiot. What you did do was wrong, and yes, you were a monster at the time. Keyword, were. But we're werewolves. We're monsters either way. I still love you, though, and that's one thing that will never change. When I agreed to mate with you, I was agreeing to belonging to you. To being your mate and Luna, I was agreeing to accepting all of you, including your alpha black side. Everyone has a dark side, no matter who we are," she finished. He studied her before gulping. "Can I kiss you?" She smiled and chuckled. She didn't answer before grabbing his face and crushing her lips to his. She poured all her love into that kiss, needing him to know that she loves him more than anything. Once they parted, she smiled. "Yes, you can." He smiled a little at her before laying his head on her chest. She wrapped her arms around him and sighed. "I love you. You're my world. Don't you ever forget that," she whispered. Book 2, Chapter 11. Rosalie sighed as Dimitri fell asleep against her. She was angry at herself. She shouldn't have said any of that to him. She should have allowed him to explain. She knew he was angry back then. She would be too if she had someone like Christine as her mate. However, she was cheated on. But she didn't lose her shit. She let it go, though. What he did was in the past, and she can't change that. She focused on their future instead. She knew she was that one thing keeping him from turning to his dark side again. She remembered seeing a pack be destroyed by him just a few years ago. He looked so powerful, running through the chaos, slaughtering wolves like it was nothing. She was disgusted by him back then, loathed him. But now, she couldn't hate him, no matter what he has done in the past. "Dimitri, we have to head back. It's going to rain soon," she said softly, shaking him awake. She watched as he furrowed his eyebrows and hugged her to him. He mumbled a few words before falling asleep again. She sighed. "Dimitri," she said a little louder. He growled softly. "Damn it, get your ass up! I don't want to be out here when it starts storming," she snapped. He immediately sat up and scowled at her. She only raised her eyebrow at him. After having a staring contest with him, he growled louder when she won. She only smirked and stood up. She then shifted and waited for him to follow. He rolled his eyes and shifted as well. When they returned, Dimitri tried sleeping on the couch, but she dragged him up to their room. She flashed Eli a glare as they walked past his room. "Why the hell are you helping him?" The alpha suddenly snapped. The sound of Eli's voice woke Dimitri up almost immediately. He instantly pulled Rosalie against him and growled at the annoying alpha. Rosalie sighed. "Because I love him? I'm not expecting you to understand that, though. You don't even know what that word means." Eli's eyes darkened with anger, but Rosalie could care less. She walked to the room with a grinning Dimitri, closing their bedroom door behind them. The next morning, she woke up to Dimitri playing with her hair. She raised an eyebrow at him. "Having fun?" she chuckled. He looked up. "Yup." "So, what are we doing today?" she questioned, sitting up. Dimitri sighed and sat up, meeting with Eli and patrolling the borders. "Well, I'm going on patrols with you then," she claimed. "What about the baby?" "I'm no longer breastfeeding him. Hurts like hell. So I have bottles for him. I'm sure your mother and the girls would love to babysit him." Dimitri chuckled. "They're obsessed with him." "Oh yeah, that reminds me. I have to go and check on him. Catherine had him last night." Rosalie threw on her robe before sprinting downstairs. She skidded to a halt when she saw Harper holding him. Dimitri's mother looked up and chuckled. "He's fine. Where were you last night anyway? Felicity told me Dimitri had ran out of the house, on the verge of tears. Then you chased after him a few minutes later," she asked. Rosalie sighed and ran her hand through her hair. "I found out what he did to rogues back then. I said a few things that I shouldn't have said." "Well, we all make those mistakes. I'm assuming you two are good now?" "Yeah, he's upstairs right now." Harper smiled. "He has a history of mental breakdowns, so whenever he just completely breaks, you have to fix him. I've been doing it since he was 11. "How come he has these?" Rosalie asked, taking a seat. Harper sighed. Maddox was very tough on them. It wasn't until after he almost lost Damon that he started being a better father. He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't the greatest. Dimitri was forced to grow up early as well to become alpha, along with the other twins. Maddox started training them when they were 5. He didn't even introduce all their future responsibilities slowly. He just threw them, head first, into the stress of it all. It just got to him, and he'll either have a panic attack or mental breakdown. She explained. Rosalie nodded. Is there where his drinking issue comes in? Yes, that's how he copes. None of the medicines worked on him, so he turned to drinking once he was 21. He refuses to get treatment because of those attacks and breakdowns. Rosalie felt horrible for him as she registered all the information she had just heard. Harper noticed the sorrow in her eyes and frowned. He'll only get better as he gets older, especially now that he has you, she said. Rosalie smiled. Thank you. Book 2, Chapter 12. Eli watched as Rosalie sat close to Dimitri. Jealousy clawed at him like an annoying cat. He had liked her ever since she appeared at a meeting with him and Cyrus. She did most of the talking that day, considering she was the rightful alpha of the pack. Her voice was like music to his ears, and her beauty took his breath away. He wasn't surprised, though. Her mother was known as the most beautiful she, Wolf. Of course, Rosalie would be too. However, he couldn't have her because of that alpha. He was disgusted by their love for one another. He wanted her love. He wanted to raise a family with her, yet she was raising one with Alpha Black. I have to make them split, he thought to himself. He tilted his head, trying to figure out how to split them up. Showing the true Dimitri did nothing, caused a small fight, and that was it. He had to make Dimitri leave, make him so hurt that he would hide himself from everyone else, including his pack. He smirked as a plan formed in his head. He could do this 2 ways. He mused over the first plan, but that would surely fail. Rosalie would just calm him down like she's done every other time. I'm going to have to hurt the both of them, make his pack hate him, he grinned. Book 2, Chapter 13. Rosalie yawned as she sat in Dimitri's office, watching the 2 alphas argue. Of course, Eli still tried to make a deal that included Rosalie, but Dimitri refused. 3 ideas later, and they were still arguing. She had attempted to break the arguments up, but that had failed miserably. All right, while you 2 battle it out in here, I'm going to bed. She yawned. Dimitri smiled softly at her. I'm sorry, baby girl. Go rest. I'll be up soon. She chuckled and kissed him on the lips. If you 2 keep bantering like this, I highly doubt that. Dimitri rolled his eyes, but kissed her and ushered her upstairs. He sighed and turned back to Eli. He frowned when the alpha was giving him a confused look. What? He asked. Eli sighed and leaned back. I'm shocked you don't see it. See what? You 2 haven't been hanging with each other all week. It has been nothing but long meetings and her coming in and out. Well, it's not my fault you have some weird obsession with her and keep trying to get her, Dimitri retorted. Eli chuckled. I would be careful, Alpha. A woman like her isn't shunned by men if she becomes too lonely. Dimitri knew where Eli was heading with this, and he didn't like it. He only scoffed at him. Rosalie wouldn't ever cheat on him. She was cheated on as well and knows how it makes you feel. He had no doubt in his mind that Rosalie was his. You're being delusional, Eli, Dimitri stated. Eli raised an eyebrow as he took a sip of his wine. Am I? Dimitri walked into their room 2 hours later, frowning at his argument with Eli. He had hesitated at the door, wondering if she had someone else in there. He shook that thought from his mind, disgusted by how he was thinking of her. Rosalie wasn't a whore. She wasn't another Christine. She was Rosalie, the smart, kind, and strong woman that he was in love with. He opened the door and smiled at her sleeping form. He quietly closed the door and kissed her on the temple. He quickly showered before crawling into bed beside her, wrapping his arms around her. Rosalie turned onto her side and smiled softly at him. Up here in a few, huh? She teased. He laughed. Yeah, well, he's a stubborn guy. She hummed her response. She nuzzled her face into the crook of his neck and released a sigh. He softly ran his fingers through her hair, biting his lip. Honey? Yeah? She whispered sleepily. You don't feel lonely, do you? He asked. She sat up and furrowed her eyebrows. Lonely? As in, spending too much time alone and not with you? He sighed. I guess. Well, this week has been busy, but I'm not surprised. You're an alpha of a large pack with a pain in the ass trying to make a deal that includes taking me, but I haven't felt lonely. I've missed you, but we see each other throughout the day still." She frowned as she thought over his sudden question. She then felt a little pain as she looked at him. "Are you doubting me?" she softly asked. Dimitri's eyes widened. "What? No, it's just I don't want you feeling as if I'm not giving you enough attention." "Dimitri, you're having doubts," she stated. He opened his mouth to argue with her, but she was too smart for his own good. He sighed in defeat and nodded. "Eli has been putting ideas into your head. I get it, but I'm your mate. You know me. I would never cheat on you." She sighed. "I know, I'm just being an idiot," he grumbled. She smiled at him before wrapping her arms around him. "I will always stay faithful to you and only you." Book 2, Chapter 14. Eli smirked as he walked outside. He met up with his gamma and sighed. He took deep breath before looking at the sky. "Why did you call me here?" Darian asked. Eli raised an eyebrow. "I need you to do me a favor." "And that is?" "You're going to help me split Dimitri and Rosalie." The next morning, Rosalie woke up to see Dimitri searching through his drawers. He frowned and sighed. Running a hand through his hair, he turned towards the closet. She sat up in the bed and watched with amusement. "You okay?" she chuckled. He walked out of their closet with a pout in his face. "I can't find my favorite tie." "Tie? Where are you going?" "My mom is going out with her friends and she wants me to be their driver for the day," he grumbled. "What about your brothers?" "Well, Xander had to return to his pack early this morning to sort out an issue. He won't be back until tonight. Xavier gets distracted too easily and hates her friends. Imagine how much of an asshole he is to them. As for Damon, never get in a car with him," he explained. Rosalie laughed. "Looks like you're the only good driver." "Seems like it." He sighed and looked at her. "You'll be fine today?" "Yeah, Catherine's friend brought her son over and Elijah is very curious about him. So I'm just going to have a pajama day today." He grinned and kissed her on the cheek. "I'm not surprised." Rosalie laughed before climbing out of the bed. She threw on a robe and watched Dimitri leave. She frowned as she turned back towards the large house. Sage and Sara were training today, so she didn't have anything to do with them. Felicity had gone with Xander, so there's no fun there. She released a breath. She hates being alone. She walked into the kitchen to see a guy sitting there on his phone. He looked up and smiled softly at her. "Hello," he greeted, standing up. She smiled. "Hello, not to sound rude, but who are you?" He chuckled. "I'm the rude one here. Name is Darian." "Oh, nice to meet you, Darian. I'm guessing you're Luna Rosalie? How'd you guess?" "Dimitri's scent is all over you," he chuckled. She grinned. "Well, that would certainly give it away. Do you want anything to eat?" No, I'm good. So tell me something about you. I'm curious about the woman known as Dimitri's Luna." "Oh, am I that intriguing?" "Well, it's not every day that you hear Alpha Black is in love with a woman," he smirked. "I would hope so." She laughed. "Well, I love watching movies." "And that's all you're getting, Darian." He chuckled a bit. "Well, I have nothing to do today, and I'm assuming you don't either. Why don't we watch a movie?" She bit her lip. She would love to watch a movie with someone, but not when Dimitri's having his recent doubts. She eventually sighed. He wouldn't be back till 4, and besides, she doesn't even think of Darian in an intimate way. What harm could it do? She nodded. "Sounds like a plan." Book 2, Chapter 15. Rosalie started to feel uncomfortable as Darian kept trying to touch her. She continued scooting away until she made some excuse as to why she suddenly had to leave. She ran outside and shifted, hoping he wouldn't follow her. She thought, for once, an unmated male wouldn't try flirting with her or touching her. The only unmated male who hasn't tried that is Damon, and he was only partially unmated. She shook her head. She hated being considered this gorgeous woman sometimes. She ran for a little while longer until someone tackled her. She got up to see a red-brown wolf wagging his tail at her. She growled a little until she recognized Darian's scent. She internally groaned and started walking away. He barked before jumping in front of her and whining a bit. She growled a little, showing him she was annoyed. However, he wasn't having any of it. He play-tackled her again. This time, he got a shove back. She shook out her fur as he tumbled onto the ground. He stood up again and wagged his tail. He nipped at her playfully. She watched him with uncertainty, trying to figure out if he was playing or attempting to flirt in wolf form. With male wolves, it's hard to tell sometimes. She growled again and shook her head. She then turned around and trotted off. Darian whined again and pounced on her. She growled loudly as he rubbed himself on her. She grabbed him by his scruff and threw him off. He landed on the ground a little harshly, but it didn't faze him. For crying out loud, Rosalie internally yelled as he tried playing again. Her wolf was growling in annoyance. Rosalie flattened her ears and ran away. She growled as he followed her. When she spotted a few warriors from her pack, she hid behind them. Distract him. She linked them. The 3 males nodded before tackling him. She briefly watched as they fought with him. She then ran off and shifted back. She threw on a shirt and sprinted into the house. She stopped when she saw Dimitri sitting on the stairs, a scowl on his face. He growled as he stood up and sniffed her. Anger radiated off him. Rosalie swallowed and took a slight step back, earning another growl from him. It's not what it looks like. You can ask those 3 warriors in the forest. He was trying to play with me and... Why are your scents on the couch then? And why was his shirt in our room? Dimitri snarled. Rosalie frowned. In our room? His shirt? I don't know. I saw him in the kitchen and watched a movie with him. That's all. I made up some excuse and left when he kept touching my thigh. I'm gonna kill him, he growled. Rosalie quickly stopped him as he marched towards the door. When he looked at her, she was pinced. He was pissed. Why are you protecting him? He demanded. She rolled her eyes. Stop being so jealous. You can't just kill someone from our pack. You seriously don't know him? I know his scent, Rosalie. That's Darian, Alpha Eli's Gamma. He snapped. Rosalie paled. Well, that isn't good news. You think? I wouldn't have minded you watching a movie with him if you texted me or something, he growled. She swallowed. I just thought, wait, why are you home? My mother only went out to get coffee. I came home to find out you were hanging out with another male from another pack, he fumed. I'm sorry. I just wanted to watch a movie with someone. So, Eli was right. She stiffened. About what? That you are feeling lonely. He growled. She sighed. You can't blame me. I'm used to always spending time with someone. I just wanted a friend to hang out with. I don't have many in your pack. Then find some. He snarled before storming out. Rosalie watched with a hurt expression. She swallowed the lump in her throat and sat on the stairs. She covered her face with her hands and shook her head. Book 2, Chapter 16. Rosalie sat there for a few more minutes until she wiped her tears and walked upstairs. She sighed when she smelled Darian's scent in her room. She growled angrily when she saw his shirt. She snatched it and tore it to pieces before throwing it away. She ran her hand through her hair as she crawled into the bed. An hour later, she could hear someone walking into her room. When Darian's scent engulfed her, she growled loudly. He backed up as she jumped out of the bed and glared at him. Get out, she snarled. He frowned. Why? Because you shouldn't be in here. Darian suddenly smirked. But we had sex in here. Pretty sure I belong. Get out, Rosalie ordered. Darian growled a little before opening the door. Hello, Alpha Black. Rosalie stiffened as Dimitri shoved Darian aside and stepped into the room. He glared at her with hatred before storming out. Rosalie walked down to his office a few hours later and took a deep breath. She opened the door to see him drinking whiskey and speaking to Eli. Am I interrupting? She asked. Dimitri shook his head. Nope, actually I was about to call you down here. Oh, you're going with Eli to his pack. She froze. What? Do I need to repeat myself? Dimitri, Alpha Black. He cut her off. Rosalie clenched her jaw. Tears pooled into her eyes as she looked down. So, you don't believe me, she whispered as anger flared up inside of her heart. Dimitri leaned back in his chair. Why should I? That question had tears running down her face and rage bubbling in her chest. Because I'm your mate. I love you more than anything. Yet you allowed this idiot to put ideas into your head. But I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I'm just another Christine to you, huh? Some whore who's not seeking love, but power. You know what? Fine, I'll leave. But I'm not going to Eli's pack. I'll return to my original pack, and I'm taking my son with me. And you can sit here and get drunk. That's all you're good for, anyways. Getting drunk and doing stupid shit. Meanwhile, I'll try my hardest to get rid of my memories of you. All those times I stayed by you. She was now crying, allowing Dimitri to see how he was breaking her heart. If I didn't love you, then I wouldn't have stayed when I found out about how you treated rogues. I'm sorry that I loved you." She turned around and sprinted out of the office, shoving a stunner Xavier out of the way. She ran up to their room and started packing her things. Once she was packed, she packed Elijah's things and walked out. "Happy now?" she croaked as she walked past Eli. "I realized after it was too late that Darian was part of some sick plan of yours." She laughed. "He's weak when it comes to forcing the answers from him." She ran downstairs to where Catherine was sitting with Elijah. She looked up and frowned. "Rose, what's wrong?" she asked. Rosalie shook her head. "Nothing, can I borrow your car? I'll have someone return it." Catherine nodded as she grabbed her keys from her purse. Rosalie thanked her and took Elijah. "There's a baby seat already in there," Catherine whispered. "How long are you leaving for?" "I don't know," Rosalie murmured. Once Elijah was buckled in and their suitcases are in the trunk, Rosalie hopped in and drove off. Tears were still running down her face. Her grip on the steering wheel tightened as she neared the border. She stopped before going over and took a deep breath, preparing herself for the pain. "I'm sorry." She mind linked to the pack and Dimitri. She stepped on the gas pedal and drove over. She cried out as she felt the ties to her pack break, including the most painful one, her tie to Dimitri. She could still feel her bond with him, but as she drove further away, she blocked it,